Hello, welcome to the Dark Night Toolbox. My name is Alicia, and this is day 5 of What Are You Chakran About, where we're exploring the Vedic tools for the innate intelligence of our body, subtle tools of light and energy, sound, wavelengths, in an effort to find balance and well-being from within, and really deal with some of those difficult experiences in our lives. So the throat chakra, here we are, the 5th chakra. It's called Visuddha in Sanskrit, which means pure. The essence of the throat chakra is communication. This is where we express ourselves. This is where we find integrity. This is where we find truthfulness. And those are the qualities that we build here in the throat chakra. Now, the element of the throat chakra is ether. And if you've been following along, you know we've built our way up from the solid to the liquid to the heat to the air in terms of atoms, atomically speaking. And now we're in ether here at the throat chakra, which is the space between. You can think of it like the space between the sun and the earth and the moon. Every atom within your body, between the nucleus and the electrons. And all that's in the space between our solar system and the next, and our galaxy and the next. All that space is the ether. Also called akasha, also can be called space. That's the element of this chakra, the truth, the unity of things. The energy of the throat chakra is sound, and the color is blue, anywhere from a kind of a turquoise blue to cerulean to more of a royal blue. The note, and blue is the wavelength of light that we see in the sky and that we see in the sea. The light wave that bounces the most off the atoms of the air and the atoms of the water is the blue wavelength. The note of the throat chakra is G. It's kind of the 5th frequency of note. And it's physically located obviously here at the throat, in the base of the throat. This chakra governs our muscular system and our communication systems, our listening, our hearing, and our speaking. So the ears, the mouth, also your shoulders are part of this chakra. The gland that this chakra is guided by or governs is the thyroid and the parathyroid. And these glands kind of modulate your T3, T4, and modulate our metabolism, like our heart rate, our temperature. It's really about metabolic rate. Of course, the purpose of the throat chakra is truth, okay? And if you've worked your way up, we know now, okay, sometimes truth isn't pretty. Sometimes it's difficult. So that's why we worked our way up here to the throat, to truth and integrity, by first strengthening our connection, our rootedness, getting in touch with our intuition, our feelings, spending some time on our sacral chakra, our solar plexus, developing courage and self-discipline. And we come to the heart, and we developed in our heart fortitude and patience and perseverance to keep our hearts open despite pain. So now we have the ability to get to integrity, to find truth. So just like every other chakra has a difficult emotion as a guardian, the guardian of the throat chakra is anger. So anger is incredibly useful and designed to help us towards integrity, towards truth. When you see an injustice, when you see something that isn't true for you, doesn't work for you, you experience anger. And anger is motivates you to act towards change. But some of the behavioral issues we can have with anger, if we don't understand and manage our anger, is one, we can be dishonest and be full of lies, even to ourselves and unknowingly, and to others knowingly. Or we may become really destructive, really aggressive. We may be carrying around old anger, old resentments that are causing illness, causing problems in our bodies. So if we find ourselves in this place where we're angry, we're aggressive, we're dishonest, we need to call in the warrior. And the warrior for the throat chakra that helps relieve anger is the warrior of healing, which could also be called justice. So the healing is the energy of accepting what is true and living peacefully with what is. Okay, to help develop the virtue of justice. So that's all I'm gonna say about the throat chakra. Its purpose is truth, its protector, its guardian is anger, If anger isn't managed, we can call in the helper of healing to help us use our anger effectively in the world for positive change. So just why we work here, I mean, why I work here, why I'm sharing this with you recently with this pandemic, with less going on and distractions in my life, I've had more time to get into some of myself, and I discovered some really old resentments I was holding here, specifically towards my mom, okay? And this is stuff from like 40 years ago. I'm almost 50 years old, and was still holding on to resentments towards my mom for stuff that happened when I was 9 years old, okay? And that came up for me, and I didn't get into my tools and do the right thing that I'm trying to work on learning here, with also sharing with you. I went to my go-to, which was lashing out. I sent a really mean letter. I didn't work through my anger in a positive way. I just spewed it and hurt and harmed someone I care about. So that's why we work here with anger. We understand it's motivational, but without it being guided, it can be very destructive. Okay, so now we're working here. There's a lot of, just an aside, there's a lot of really good tools for dealing with anger and resentment and truth. Kind of more heady intellectual tools that I will talk about in future episodes of the Dark Night Toolbox. For example, there's some really good journaling tools, and there's a woman named Byron Katie. She does her tool, she's called The Work, which is really dealing with truth and resentment. And I'll talk about those in the future, but right now we're doing the Vedic tools, which are tools for our body, for the innate intelligence of our body and the subtle energies of light and sound, to really help, and our hormones and our chemistry, to really help us heal without our mind being so involved. Okay, so we're going to move to our mat now. I'll tell you the 3 tools that I like you to set up on your way to your mat. Is first your self-care. Get yourself really comfortable. You want to create like a sense of ritual, a sense of sacred space for yourself, where you're going to really experience with these tools and experiment, find out what really works for you without distractions. You can use some aromatherapy. That's using your olfactory senses, using essences of plants. And one's really good for the throat. Aromas that are good for the throat are things you might think about in cough medicine, like a peppermint or a eucalyptus, which is what I'm using today. Even maybe like a basil or a thyme, any of those herbs that are helpful and soothing for the throat. You also may want to use rock crystals and gems as a tool for your healing process. Gems and stones that are good for the throat chakra are the blue ones, so lapis, turquoise, aquamarine. I have a couple of blue hearts that I like to use, and you can put those around you in your space where you're doing your somatic practices that we do with the Vedic tools. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do as we get into our tools is make the statement of the throat chakra. The statement of the throat chakra is I express. So we'll say that together 3 times. I express. I express. I express. Now we're going to get into the sound. If you are musically inclined, you can chant this. E is the sound, like 2 E's together is the sound of the throat chakra. You can chant that in the note of G. We'll do that 3 times. E. 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 With the chanting, if you can feel the vibration of the sound in the chakra area, the physical body where you're working on, it's helpful. Now we're going to get into a visualization, and we're going to do a moving visualization today. I'm borrowing, it's a 5th chakra moving meditation visualization exercise that I'm borrowing from someone named Rick Yarrow. So I'm going to stand here, so I need to do a little adjusting. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to play with the energy of space. So I want you to have your feet about hip widths apart and start shifting your weight side to side. And you're kind of finding the connection, the relationship between your left side and your right side. And then I want you to gently begin to shift your weight from side to side, almost like, you know, when you're a kid and you were doing the elephant, pretending you're an elephant. So shifting your weight side to side, allowing your body to sway however it feels good. And now I want you to bring your hands together, but not touching. And you can imagine you're visualizing maybe holding like a blue crystal floating between your hands, emanating a blue light pulsating into your hands. Maybe you just experience the warmth of your hands, but use your imagination, use your visualization, and see if you can start playing with the experience of something tangible, something real between your hands. And you're just kind of playing with this space between your hands, and you start to maybe pretend like it's taffy or bubble gum, and you can start pulling it and pushing it and moving it around. Meanwhile, you're moving your body in whatever way feels good for you, always keeping in mind this connection between your palms, this line of energy between your hands, this awareness in our visualization, in our imagination of the ether, of the element of space, the space between. And you're rocking and you're swaying, and let your body kind of move however it feels like. If there's any kinks, you can work them out. Just kind of playing with space. And if you find your mind wandering, don't try to stop it. Just allow it to wander. Allow it to go, and maybe observe it as if you were watching your mind, as if your mind wasn't you and you were watching your mind, and you're playing with this space, and your mind is going wherever it's going. And perhaps an idea comes to you, perhaps something true comes to light for you while you're just playing here, opening up to the possibility. And I want you to slowly start breathing in, breathing out, breathing that energy back in towards center, towards the middle of your hands. There's a bee in mine. Bring it together, kind of compressing it back down into the gem that you started with, till you feel almost like you have electricity, maybe a lightning, blue lightning between your hands, and in the center of that is a tiny blue gem. We're going to take this gem and bring all that blue light, all that energy of truth and possibility down in, and we're going to tuck that little gem right into your throat chakra. All right, we're going to let that visualization fade. We're just playing with the energy of the ether. And we're going to move now into our tools of pranayama. The first one we're going to do is called chin press breath. And what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in for 7 seconds, bringing our nose down, our chin to chest, breathing in, 7 seconds. Hold, 7 seconds. And then breathing out, up and out, for a count of 7. Breathing in for 7. Hold for 7. Breathing out for 7. Breathing in for 7. Hold, chin to chest, 7. Breathe out for 7. Now do this a couple more times, 3 more times at your own count. One more. Now, we didn't mention the mudra for the throat chakra. The mudra is a hand position. The throat chakra mudra is either fingers together, thumbs together, making a circle, or or you can clasp your fingers. Still, what you're looking for is this circle, this spacious circle between your hands. And if it's helpful for you, you can bring that to your throat if you're seeking truth, if you're looking for integrity. That's the mudra for the throat chakra. Now we're going to do a really goofy one next. For the next pranayama is called lion's breath. And I like to think of the Maoris before, or in New Zealand before the All Blacks games. It comes from a Maori tradition of basically you're going to breathe out, stick out your tongue, and roll your eyes back in your head on your exhale. Okay, so we're going to breathe in, and this is really going to get you pumped, really going to get you energized in your throat chakra. Breathe out once to clear. And now we begin. Okay, a goofy pranayama for your throat chakra. Now we're going to move into our yoga asanas. And the first one we're going to do is bridge pose. Bridge pose, if you haven't seen it before, we're going to get onto your back. Tuck your shoulders underneath you. Lift your hips and kind of walk your shoulders down below your back. And you're lifting up with your hips, and your shoulders are pressing to the ground, even your upper arms are pressing to the ground. And I want you to say to yourself, I speak my truth. I speak my truth. I speak my truth. Now, if you're motivated, you can go into a full bridge, tucking your hands under your shoulders and lifting. I open to truth. I am open to truth. I am open to truth. Now on an exhale, lower yourself back down. Bring your chin, your knees to your chest, and maybe do some circles if that feels good. I always think it feels really good after a bridge to curl up into a little circle ball. Gently come over to your side and push yourself up back to seated. What we're doing here with the asanas for the throat is really opening up this area of our body, opening up our shoulders, opening up our throat. And as we open physically in these areas of our bodies, we open to the purpose of these areas on maybe on a more emotional level. Okay, now we're going to do some neck rolls. I want you to go three times in each direction. Just let your own breath, remembering to breathe. First to the right. 3 to the left. 3. We're next going to do another intense pose for the throat chakra. We're going to do shoulder stand. So, to do shoulder stand, you want to make sure that you are, if you've never done it before, you might want to do this against a wall, and you want to make sure that you are not pushing yourself too hard. You want to get your shoulders kind of tucked underneath you. You're going to bring your feet up, and you're going to kind of rock your hips forward and lift your hips up until you're in a shoulder stand. And maybe you're here, maybe you're wherever you are, whatever's comfortable and feels good for you, with no strain, no pain. And I want you to say to yourself, I have integrity. I have integrity. I have integrity. Now we're going to slowly lower, help yourself down gently. Shoulder stand, good for the throat chakra. The next asana for the throat chakra is fish. So we're going to lie on our stomachs, put our hands under our shoulders, or back behind, and put your forehead to the mat. And you're allowing your shoulders to relax forward. And I want you to say to yourself, I communicate clearly. I communicate clearly. I communicate clearly. Put your hands on your shoulders. You can gently push yourself up. We're going to next do shoulder shrugs and shoulder circles. So first we're just going to lift our shoulders on the inhale and exhale down. Shoulder shrugs are a really good way of releasing some tension that we carry here, especially when we're angry and tense. We can get really tightened up here. And this will help relieve some of that tension, hopefully help relieve some of that anger. Okay, now we're going to do some shoulder circles. If it's comfortable, you can put your hands on your shoulders. We're going to go backwards first, 7 times. I express myself. I want you to say to yourself, I express myself. Now forwards, I express myself. I express myself. Okay, our last pose for strengthening the throat chakra is plow pose. This is a lot like the shoulder stand, only we're going to put our feet back all the way up over our heads. And again, my one rule of yoga postures is they should never hurt. So any discomfort, back off, go lighter, go softer. For example, like bridge pose, it was 5 years into my yoga practicing that I went into a full bridge. So you just take your time and you slowly guide your body towards softening, towards receiving, towards relaxing into these postures, okay? We're not forcing anything, we're softening into things. Okay, so plow. Come back on your back. You're going to lift your legs again like we did for shoulder stand. This time up and over. And you can put your feet on the ground or wherever you are. You know, be what important is it does not hurt. It should feel good. A good stretch. I communicate with kindness. I communicate with kindness. I communicate with kindness. Okay. Now I want you to remember with these affirmations, we are saying the things we want to be true. And personally, for example, I did not communicate with kindness when I wrote that mean letter about my resentments towards my mom. Okay, so I'm working here to try to get myself to the place where I do communicate with kindness by repeating this affirmation to myself. So that kind of wraps up the yoga asanas. They're good for strengthening the throat chakra. Again, we're working on finding integrity, finding truth. We understand that anger is here guarding our truth. If we experience anger, even the slight irritation all the way to rage, it's all anger. Like if you're irritated at a mosquito, it's because that's not in line with what you think is true, what you want to be true, okay? And if you're enraged and want to go to war, that's because something doesn't align with what you think is true and what you understand and want to be true. So we work here to use our anger as an effective tool for creating positive change in our lives and the lives of the people that we care about. So our final thing today is we always close the Vedic tools with a meditation. Now this chakra is about sound, so we're going to do a primal sounds meditation. I like to be in Thunderbolt Rock for this meditation. Personally, it works for me, but find yourself a comfortable seat that works for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to repeat for 1 whole minute the primal sounds Sa, Ta, Na, Ma. Now what these sounds mean is Sa is infinity, Ta is life, Na is death, Ma is rebirth. Sa, Ta, Na, Ma, it's the circle of life in infinite repetition. So we're going to chant that for a minute in order to find some truth in that. So breathe in and out to clear. And now we begin. Sa, ta, na, ma, 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 sa, ta, ma, sa, ta, na, 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 ma, sa, ta, ma, sa, ta, na, 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 ma. Sometimes when you're chanting, it can feel like it's an eternity, okay? But what that chanting does and what those sounds do is to create a vibration in your body, and that breathing, that really guttural belly breathing, really healthy and healing for letting go of some of the tensions we might be holding here in our throat, some of the anger we might be holding on to. Okay, so we have worked through now the throat chakra, and thank you for joining me here in this learning experience of the Dark Night Toolbox, where we're exploring the Vedic tools. And maybe we'll see you next time when we explore the third eye.